we have first on the menu, boy?
I'm Bubble.
Welcome to another How Made video. This time it's about the voice I did in the latest video from the Amazing Digital Circus. So you might not know this, but the creator of the Amazing Digital Circus, Gooseworx, has seen BFB before. And I'm going to talk about this later, but first let's watch the video itself.
We are so blessed to have y'all wonderful faces here today for this little nanny of ours.
Get them some seats, people. Why are they sitting on the floor? You know, if you've ever been to the Saban Media Center, which is the LA stop of the BFTI and IIA tour, you'll know that these plush red fabric walls are what the seats are like. You know, we should take this whole room and turn it on its side so that you can actually sit in some plush, velvety comfort that you deserve and not this tiled floor that looks like it's from Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria.
And we need to make back them lost Australian smackaroni.
Wait, no, earlier you were having real confetti and now you switched to dollar confetti. I think you need to be a little bit more consistent, right? See, like that's normal confetti, that's cheap confetti. Suddenly you've upgraded to dollar confetti. I think we need to launch an official investigation on your finances because usually budget cuts mean that you go the other direction, that you sort of downgrade. But suddenly, why are you suddenly rolling in so much money that you can use it as confetti? We need to know the answer. And I think the IRS already knows what that is. Oh my gosh, it's four from BFB. What? That's crazy. Or maybe, you know, maybe it's someone who sounds a lot like 4. I think this is an imposter right here. And not an imposter of 4. I think it's an imposter of the real Bubble.
I'm Bubble.
Nope, lies. That is false, and I think you need to have an investigation launched upon you as well.
With this one-of-a-kind, I say one-of-a-kind keychain, you're sure to get head spinning with this dangling loop.
Well, if it's one of a kind, then it's already in the video. It's gonna be hard for you guys to get it if it's already in the Glitch Productions warehouse, in their filming facility. You gotta book a flight to Australia and go there right away, because if it is one of a kind, then I think you're gonna have a low chance of getting it if you stay at home.
Now, shall we start the bidding at 1,000 loonies? How about 1,000 tunics? Sold!
Wait, hold on, didn't they say,
Did money become a thing?
did money become a thing?
1,000 loonies.
Loonies. I think this confirms what the currency is in the world of the digital circus.
Do I hear 1,000?
Loonies.
How about 1,000 tunics?
Toonies. We need to invest in loonies and toonies. That's the new currency that's going to pop off anytime soon. It's not about coin, it's about knees. Don't worry at all about what their valuation is going to be in a few years. After all the hype dies down, it's all about loonies and toonies and pennies and coinies and fireys and leafies and George Washington in a dollar bill. We need to know what the symbol is for loonies and toonies. Whoa, no, the language needs to stop. This is where I draw the line. We need to be careful before engaging in disgusting, harmful discourse.
Why you sound like a complete fool?
I agree, see? Kane is speaking truth right there. You do sound like a fool when you use foul language.
Holy hot dog, Bubble, I'm seeing pole.
Oh my gosh, this is like a magic eye puzzle right here. You gotta cross your eyes to see what the difference is. It's gonna look like it's in 3D. That sight when you cross your eyes and your eyes each align with each of the 2 bubbles, it is not a pretty sight. So maybe let's keep the video going.
That's my cousin. Alice.
La Booble, that's Michael Booble's brother. Which means that Bubble is Michael Bublé's cousin as well? Where is Michael Bublé in the whole family tree? This is new lore that's being unlocked. Clearly, a merch video is the real definition of lore and not the actual body of work made by the author known as the writer of the Amazing Digital Circus. We must go off of obscure lore from merch videos. And what we're seeing in here, what we're learning, is that Michael Bublé is part of the Bubble family.
What do you mean there are 2? Am I hearing?
Given name La, family name Booble, with a relative who's also named Michael. Maybe I'm that Michael, but the last name is different, so let's actually discard that thought.
The Amazing Digital Circus.
Oh, I know that guy's name. That guy's name is Chad.
He's squishy, soft, and with a tongue that's full of disease. How can anyone resist that?
Diseases. I like the name Diseases. Reminds me of the name James. Shout out if your name is James. And that's like a derivative. Like your original version of you should be James. You're James. And then your descendant should be called Jameses. And then James's. James's. You see where I'm going here? Because then eventually when James's starts to come down with an illness, you end up with James diseases. and everyone is just going to be so amazed by how poetic that whole situation is. Like, I think everyone's going to be so glad when that person falls under an illness.
And with a tongue that's full of disease. How can anyone resist that? I'll say, how can anyone
Resist that? Oh, there's like fire being spat right now. How can you resist the diseases? I can't resist it, and I think James can't either.
resist that? I got nothing over here, nothing over there.
See, Cain, again, Cain, the wrath god right there. So I'm a love it, you assume what I gotta do to get it through you. See, Cain, you know, you're talking about diseases, you're talking about resisting things, you're seeing a lot of wordplay going on. I think your talents are wasted on this charity auction.
Oh, see.
Hey.
I want that machine. They should throw me and my brother into that machine. Call it Mary. That's Pomni and Jax, right? Call that Pax. Now, that's not just a vape brand. That's not just the character from the movie Bandersnatch. That's Pax right there. You need to respect them. Them, because it's plural.
This isn't working, Bubble. We need the model.
See, there, that's an even scarier sight. I think if you see 3 bubbles, you need 3 eyes to be able to do the magic eye thing correctly. Or, if we're activating our genius thinking right now, you make your right eye point to the one on the left, you make your left eye point to the one on the right, and then the middle one, you just kind of ignore it, you just let it be.
The model.
But also, I'm noticing some hands in there, some hands in the background. You think you're slick, but you are not. I mean, I wish if I needed to, imagine being so lazy that in order to look somewhere, you needed someone's hand on your head to turn you.
We need the model.
The model, ooh. Someone's about to slay. Someone's about to serve.
Or if you're a Canadian priest.
Whoa, whoa. Why is all of the slander being delivered by this Labuble person? Your relative Michael Bublé needs to phone you up and say, I haven't met you yet. Or like, I haven't met you anymore because I'm cutting off contact due to your foul language and slander you're throwing in every direction, including an entire country known as Canada.
Wait.
Why not this comfy sweater with all your favorite on the back?
I mean, if I want to be honest though, you know, all your favorite S word on the back, like that's kind of where it comes out, the back. So it is kind of fitting.
Spice up, you're hardly working. Do I? Hold it, Nanny. Sold to the man without a shirt.
This is the best YouTube poop I've ever seen, you know? All the real ones know what YouTube poops are. All the realer ones listen to YouTube poop music videos as their main genre that they listen to. That has to be nominated as a real section in the Grammys. You got country, you got pop, then you got YouTube YTPMVs. Imagine that. You walk onto the stage at the awards show known as the Grammys. All those industry veterans are there. You finally get recognized for your contributions to the genre of YouTube poop music videos.
I'm pulling your IP address as we speak. Dick.
Why are you so hostile? Shouldn't be calling people that. That needs a swear word bleep of its own. Unless you mean Richard. Which, you know, then you're like revealing the identity of the person you're hacking. It's like, Richard, watch out. Your IP address is about to be leaked. Imagine having a tongue so long someone has to roll it up back into your mouth. That's probably why there's all those diseases. I mean, watch out, James, but those diseases are coming at you. So you got James' diseases from rolling up the tongue. I mean, I'd probably be swearing too if my tongue flopped out if I didn't have a patch due to me swearing. So, Michael Bublé, put your phone back down. I think Labuble has a good reason to be speaking like that. The tongue is being kept in there because of that. So, you know what? You're off the hook, Labuble.
Wait, what?
The sparkles. Maybe those aren't sparkles. Maybe those are vermin. Maybe those are lice. So, you know, the diseases. How can you resist? You can't. They're all going to attack and jump into your immune system. So if you see that, I have one on the way myself. So I'm ready for those diseases to hop down in my immune system. I think this has been a very, very lovely merch video, and I, again, am very glad to be a part of it. I'm just seeing all of these very lovely fabric red walls, and I feel like I'm in the Saban Media Center as we speak. Where is the Emmy statue? We're searching for it. Oh, it's a keychain. That's all right. Or maybe that's the Emmy right there. It just looks a little bit different. Hooray. Merch video done being watched. On to the rest of the video. So that was the video. So we've also done videos that involve only plushes where the entire video is just a story being told by the plush toys. But these guys, I think they've done it better. That video is about to hit 10 million views, and I'm just think it's cool to have been a part of it. I want to talk a little bit first about how the whole thing got started, which is when I got an email from Glitch Productions saying, we have this script ready, we have this rough video version of it ready. Do you want to be a part of it? If so, sign this document and we'll all get started. But what I want to talk about is that there's a little bit of context to all of this, a little bit of lore, because BFDI and the Amazing Digital Circus have crossed paths before. So this is something we already knew about on the BFDI crew, but this is my first time talking about it on video, which I think is a really cool thing, which is that the Amazing Digital Circus has influence from BFDI. The creator of the Amazing Digital Circus, Gooseworx, has written a Tumblr post in the past about her influences in making the show and designing the characters. I haven't read this post in a while. I did read it before, but it's as if there's going to be a new reaction. So this person is asking Gooseworx on Tumblr, is Kane actually inspired by Spamton, who is a character from Deltarune? Gooseworx's response is, as a character, I kind of just combined AM from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream and 4 from BFB into the horrific monstrosity we see before us. When I first saw it years ago, I thought, oh, that's so cool. You know, that's an honor, and it's cool to think that 4 has been around for long enough that stuff can be inspired by him. So that, to me, that's like first contact. Like if we think about a story that has multiple beats in it, this is beat 1, when a disgusting alien species lands on a planet. That is us landing in the world of the Amazing Digital Circus and the world of Glitch Productions. So that started it. Then we had our 15-year anniversary special that was comprised of 2 different episodes of BFDI. And as a guest character, we asked Gooseworx to then be a part of our show. You know, this is like sort of traveling a little bit up the family tree, and Gooseworx got to voice the character Rose on BFDI. So that was fun. I'm glad Gooseworx decided to do that. Hopefully, we want to see if Gooseworx can voice a character again in the future. Hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, legs crossed, arms crossed, eyes crossed. On to step 3, which, if I'm not forgetting any other things that happened in the meantime, is this, you know? Now we have a little bit of a role reversal, and now I get to voice something on not an episode, but a merch video. Still, it was fun to do it. So that was the final product. Those were the lines. Now let's go into my footage that I recorded of myself doing the voice acting. You can see I've censored it a bit because I'm constantly flicking between the script and the actual recording software, Audacity. And I don't really want to be leaking everything that's in the script, so I have a little filter on it that'll make it a little bit more private, a little bit more discreet. But the thing that instantly made me so impressed with the way that they do it at Glitch Productions is that they made a rough version of the whole video before they even sent it out to me. They made the video just in its rough form before voice actors got involved, and they had like stock footage in it. And it was like, oh my God, this is like one level above anything that we do at BFDI, because we don't make the whole video before we send it out to the voice actors and then actually make the video after that. Going back to the beginning of this video, you can see I'm sort of recording out the voice, but also watching the video, because the video, you know, has this sort of imitation of me doing the 4 voice. So now I'm imitating the 4 voice that this person at Glitch Productions is doing, who is imitating me. And what they're imitating is me imitating myself from 2008. So there's a long linked lineage going on here. Either way, it was really good to have this person doing this impression of me, because then I got to imitate them and do all the inflections that they were looking out for, that they were wanting me to do. It was as if I had the writer of the video guiding me the whole time. These guys have it down to a science with these rough versions, getting the concept across to us. You can peep the Shutterstock watermark in the video. So yeah, as I'm recording this, literally sitting on my bed in the apartment that we're staying at, you can see the rest of the room and the building, which will become relevant later. And right now you're getting a view into my workflow as I recorded this Le Bouble voice. You can see the process of recording this whole thing is just me alt-tabbing, flipping between 3 different programs: Audacity, QuickTime, which is playing the rough version that came from the writers, and then the script. Now the script made it really easy because I could just Control F for my own lines and see which lines I had to voice. I mean, the thing that I think is funny is that when you're looking at this rough video that was provided from Glitch Productions, all of it is animated in CG, but then the final video is made with puppets. So it almost feels like it's like backwards of what should usually be easier to do, which is that you act out something and then you have it animated, and then the animation's like the hard, difficult part that's high production. But no, I guess these Glitch Production people are so cracked at animating that they made an animated version, which then they copied to make the puppet version. So yeah, right now it's not that often that I'm recording for someone else's project, but this time I got to have the experience of doing it. And now I'm wondering, like, you know, what what does the writer want in this delivery? And thankfully, the video made it easy to figure out what it was, because I just get to copy that person's recording and do my impression of them doing an impression of me. I mean, the crazy thing that I think I'm realizing right now is that rough video, which is like a rough animation, it looks almost like a Gmod video. And those Gmod videos, that's kind of like what Glitch Productions started out doing back when they were called Super Mario Glitchy. So in a way, it's like a full circle moment right there, you know? It's like they've got Gmod down to their bones. I mean, if this rough animation made in what looks like Gmod is what Glitch Productions is doing to make an early version of their videos, we should go back to our roots, make BFTI episodes as a marble race in the beginning. We should tell the story that way, and maybe that'll be easier, and then we can convert that into an episode. We'll be like, oh, this marble came to the end, it won, it crossed the finish line. And that turns into a racer running past the finish line. Clearly that's the solution. Yeah, it's not that often you get to see what it looks like when I'm recording these characters. You know, it's playing at like 10 times speed or something. If you've ever wanted to know what it looks like to voice 4, and if you ever wanted to do your perfect 4 impression where you want to be anatomically correct to the voice actor, you can just watch me doing this voice acting and find out how to tilt your head to the side in just the right way so that you can sound exactly like 4. After I was done recording this, I was thinking, I want this to be in perfect condition for the Glitch production crew to be able to put it in the episode. They don't necessarily know how 4 sounds like 4 because it's not just the voice acting that happens, because 4 also has to be pitched up by like 2.5 semitones. So what I did, and it's somewhere in this video, is that I went back to my original document that I wrote in 2020, which is a revised version of a document that I wrote in like 2018. Yeah, there it is. I call it pitching information, and it's basically an audio guide for our audio editors when I was first hiring audio editors and sort of first learning to divvy out the tasks and have other people edit the audio just like how I do it. And it has all of the numbers saying by how many semitones up each character is pitched up or down. So I wanted to make sure that 4 sounds exactly like it does in BFDI and pitch 4 exactly the right amount up. So in either Audacity or the other audio editor that I use, I am making sure that 4 is already pitched so that the Glitch production editors have everything as they need it, and they can just take that file and just plop it right into their video and have the puppet sound exactly like Le Bouble should sound, and not think, wait, hold on, this 4 sounds 2.5 semitones lower than it should. Must be an imposter. So yeah, now you're seeing a little bit of the process of what it's like to edit audio in BFDI, except you're not seeing anything. You're seeing like a black screen because of my little censoring filter that I have on there. Just imagine that you're maybe like in the process of falling asleep, or you're like under the influence of some delirium that makes it harder to see, and you're seeing like, you know, just imagine that these are your sleep paralysis demons haunting you. But this is the program that I have been using since 2017, RX by Isotope. Originally I started out using RX6, but since then I've upgraded to RX10, and that, what you're seeing right there, is what should be the final voice acting audio sent to Glitch Productions. I sent 2 versions to them, an unpitched, originally recorded version, and then a pitched up version, in case maybe you don't want the final packaged project that sounds exactly like 4. Maybe you just want the original raw version, completely untouched and unadulterated, so that you can play with it however you want. But in case you want 4 as he appears in the show, there you have it. So that was the process of recording Le Bouble's voice. You know, I'm voicing as 4, but technically this time it's Le Bouble. But in this video, you can see I'm like, for a second, stepping out of there. And there's a specific reason that I do that, and I'll get to that later. So that was my footage of me recording the voice acting of 4. I mean, Le Bouble. Now let's talk a little bit about where we were recording this. So this whole thing we were recording during the Chicago leg of our BFDI and Inanimate Insanity 2025 tour. It was almost like, you know, like a Bourne Identity movie where we're like flying between different places as stuff is happening, as the plot is unfolding, and we happen to be in Chicago at this time for the Chicago leg of the tour. Now, the reason that I had to step out of the room for that short moment is, if you look at this photo of the place that we were staying at, there is weirdly a gap between the top of the wall and the ceiling. And the room that I was staying at, which I didn't mind at all, I thought, you know, it's actually kind of nice that there's some extra ventilation, you know, it never gets stuffy. I always feel like there's air flowing in and out of the room. But when you're voice acting, I feel like it's always nice to have some privacy. It's always nice because whenever you're voice acting, they say that anything that you record into a microphone or on a camera comes across as half the energy that you actually put out when you're there in person. So I always like to, shout it up a little bit. But when there's a gap and there's someone else on the other side of that, that gets a little bit awkward. So the reason that I have to step out of the room is because I can hear someone stepping into the apartment. You would really hear this in the entire unit, no matter where you are, because it's just so loud. And yeah, there was someone working at the table that's right there. And I was just telling them, hey, I'm doing voice acting, and if it sounds like there's someone shouting at the top of their lungs, in the same room as you because of this gap here, now you know why. So, it's a very fun way to voice act. It's almost like someone else gets a little window. This is like the flip side of what recording studios actually are like, where there's a glass wall that blocks sound and you can see in. In this case, you can't see in and you can hear everything. It's a little bit of opposite day going on here. And then here's another photo. There were literally over 20 photos that this listing had for this apartment of all the different luxurious areas, like that amazing common area that is not necessarily as well kept as the photos make it look like, or the amazing public roof area that you're maybe never going to go to and we never went to. But among all the 20 photos of the apartment, there are 2 photos that, if you're just browsing through it, you won't notice the gap, but why is it so suspiciously bright in this photo? And it's because, yeah, this little white area here is how maybe the apartment owner can say, you know what, we warned you that there was a gap if you just looked in the photos.
No refunds, pal.
It's not very often that I've slept in a bedroom that's in exactly the same room as the stove and the fridge, but during the tour, I got to do that, so hooray. So that was where the recording happened. Now going on to, takeaways, Well, what do we come out of the experience thinking? Well, I guess what I'm thinking is it was amazing just being able to be a part of this. And if I look back on this and think, well, oh my gosh, I got to be in this, even though it's not an official episode, it was still a merch video. It was for this project that's also distributed on Netflix, and just as big as the Amazing Digital Circus is, it has this cool fandom that's as huge as it is. And I also watched The Gaslamp District by Glitch Productions. Clearly, these are talented people who have a huge range. So, again, props to them, props to the brothers, props to Gooseworx. And I hope it happens again. Weird side tangent, but if you want to think that the world and that fate works in mysterious ways, have you ever thought about how Glitch Productions is also 2 Asian brothers, also who grew up together and started making animations, and they started growing in popularity in the 2010s. Let's connect the dots and, draw dotted lines and start poking pins into the wall and drawing strings between them and, slapping bits of Post-its onto the walls and start making the connections. That means that I should voice a character in a Glitch Productions series. That's the clear answer. So let's make it happen.